All right, we are live here on YouTube. We are live here on Facebook. We are going to continue Srimad Bhagavatam. One second, let me shut this. All right, we are. So, maybe some of you haven't seen me and us in a while. We've been doing some traveling. It was very nice actually, a wedding down in Florida. And we did everything we could to do it on a budget, including camping in the Florida heat. But we found it was quite amazing. Krishna had arranged so many arrangements for us through other friends and even our Airbnb host that we didn't have to suffer so terribly. Actually, it was quite a wonderful trip. So like that, even earlier in the year, somehow or other, an airline made a mistake and gave me and my wife each $100 towards our next flight, and that's what we used for this trip. So it was really actually amazing to watch Krishna be our provider. So that's really nice. So not that we want to force the Lord to provide for us, but He's naturally providing for everybody. But we just have to shift our vision to understand that. Anyway, that's one of the principles of Sharanagati, but that's a little above the scope of our Srimad Bhagavatam reading we're going to do today. We are going to continue on. This will be the last Bhagavatam class that we'll have on Facebook and YouTube for at least maybe like 12 or 13 days, something like this. We have a special guest coming to the center, His Grace Bhagavad Ashraya Prabhu and his lovely wife, Sarvamangala Mata, both very deep devotees. So they'll be staying with us and they'll be giving the class in this slot in the mornings. So I'll get to actually listen, which will be nice. So anyway, we will continue on. We'll start with our prayers and then we'll get into our reading. And yeah, Haribol. Chant is actually the first verse we're going to start with in the Bhagavatam today, so it's kind of a rare occurrence.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
These are verses from the Bhagavatam that help us set the mood on how to approach the Bhagavatam. Shrimvatam Sarada Krishna Punyashana Kirtana Vedanta Stoya Bhadrani
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, is in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
So let's cleanse our hearts of material desires, hear these virtuous messages, remove all of our troubles, and establish love of God, the highest goal. So Bhagavatam is doing this very thing. Now let's get the mercy and blessings of the great acharyas, the great teachers who have led by example, from student to master, all the way up lineage, disciplic succession to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. And these are the prayers. All together. Om
Jnantirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swam Bhagavatam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Bhagavatam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajana Saganaguna Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lita Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Radhika Jagaurangi Radha Videshwari Vishvanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriye Chakalpatarvescha Kripa Sindhuvevascha Patitanam Bhavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhagavatam Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine
Alright. Seems to be a symptom in the ashram. We're all very tired this morning. I don't know why. I know for whatever reason, I didn't get to sleep until very late last night. Actually, because I think I took a too late of a nap earlier in the day, and that just screwed me up. But that's okay. I can sleep later. We are going to chant our verses in Bhagavatam. We're on chapter 2 of the first canto, text 4. And we just chanted this verse. So it was we'll do it in this meter though. Narayanam namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram chaiva narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim sarasvatim vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato jayam mudiraye.
Jayam Udiraye
Narayanam,
Narayanam
the personality of Godhead.
Personality of Godhead
Namakritya,
Namakritya,
after offering respectful obeisances.
after offering respectful obeisances,
Naram chaeva,
Naram Chayeva,
and Narayan Rishi.
Narayan Rishi,
Nara Uttamam,
Naruttamam,
the supermost human being.
The supermost human being.
Devim,
Devim,
the goddess.
the goddess.
Sarasvatim,
Saraswatim,
the mistress of learning.
the mistress of learning.
Vyasam,
Vyasam,
Vyasadev.
Vyasadeva,
Tata,
Ta,
thereafter.
thereafter.
Jayam,
Jaya,
all that is meant for conquering.
all that is meant for conquering.
Udiraya,
Udire,
be announced.
be announced.
And the translation is, before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So we chant this one before every time we do a class, and we'll hear the purport of Srila Prabhupada. All the Vedic literatures and the Puranas are meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. The living being is in the state of forgetfulness of his relation with God due to his being overly attracted to material sense gratification from time immemorial. His struggle for existence in the material world is perpetual. It's always happening. And it is not possible for him to get out of it by making plans. Rats. If he at all wants to conquer this perpetual struggle for existence, he must reestablish his eternal relation with God. And one who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelter of literatures such as the Vedas and the Puranas. Foolish people say that the Puranas have no connection with the Vedas. However, the Puranas are supplementary explanations of the Vedas intended for different types of men. All men are not equal. There are men who are conducted by the mode of goodness, others who are under the mode of passion, and others who are under the mode of ignorance. The Puranas are so divided that any class of men can take advantage of them and gradually regain their lost position and get out of the hard struggle for existence. Srila Sutta Goswami shows the way of chanting the Puranas. This may be followed by persons who aspire to be preachers of the Vedic literatures and the Puranas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana, and it is especially meant for those who desire to get out of the material entanglement permanently. So there's a couple of things here. One, the Vedic literatures and the Puranas, they're meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. If you want to actually conquer this material world, it's not by getting lost further in it. You know, most people think conquering the material world, like, oh, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be the richest man in the world, or I'm gonna have the most women, or the most sex life, or the most this, or the most that. No, that means you're the most enslaved by the material world, actually, because you are being tempted by the temporary things here, and you don't realize that this can never actually benefit your soul. So to really conquer the material world is to not be attracted, not be fooled by the temporary illusions that arise here, like dreams, not be fooled. Oh, woman is so beautiful. Let me devote my whole life to her. I'm married, and I have to devote a significant portion of my life. But the reason my marriage is even existing in the first place is because we've decided together that we're going to devote our lives to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? To really conquer the material existence. To realize that this is a very dark region. We're here due to our forgetfulness of our relation with God. And by remembering and offering our homage, our worship, our obeisances, becoming a devotee of the Lord, this is not only the key out, but this is the key to real life. All the great religions talk about it. There's something mentioned here about Puranas. Even myself, if we try and study the ancient Vedas just directly, it's kind of way above our head. We can try our best to study the Vedas, but it's very high level, and only those are really on the topmost Brahminical levels can study the Vedas. That was the injunction. So Puranas are supplements to the Vedas that actually kind of bring it to your level. And now there's 18 different Puranas, right? And 6 for those in the mode of goodness. So those who have done some purification in this life. 6 are for those in the mode of passion, those who are very eager to fulfill their desires in the material world. And 6 are for those in the mode of ignorance, for those who, they're completely bewildered and have no knowledge at all. So, and actually you could even extend, there are different religions all across the world, all pointing at the same God, all pointing at the same goal. But there are different religions for those depending that are attractive depending on what your inclination is. So there's some religions that do well for those in the lower modes of nature, like passion and ignorance. And there's some religions, like for instance this Bhagavat Purana, and this Bhagavat religion is for those who want to go even beyond these 3 modes of nature. But, so like that, a couple of other things in this verse Prabhupada is saying. He's saying, Sutta Goswami, he's giving an example on how to even, 1, chant the Puranas, and 2, you first offer your obeisances unto their source. So that's why at the beginning of class, if I'm more foolish, I will just begin to speak my own realizations. Oh, let me tell you like this, let me tell you like that. But if I have a little bit more realization, I'll actually realize that, well, I don't want to give them my own contaminated version of this by the modes of nature, my own conditioning. I don't want that to get in the way. So actually let me pray to the source of such learning and knowledge, and pray that I actually am able to channel a pure thing. And how do I do that? I repeat what's been said, 1, in the Purana itself, 2, by the acharyas who've passed the Purana down to me, and 3, honor the source, which is the personality of Godhead. And then, how did the personality of Godhead disseminate it? Through the supremest human being, Narayan Rishi, through Mother Saraswati, who's the goddess of learning. She's giving the faculty from which all living entities can learn. And unto Srila Vyasadeva, who's the author. So like this, these are some things in this verse. But it's very nice. And also, any illuminated speaker, even at the material platform, maybe say a business guy or something, any elegant speaker, they give credit to where credit is due. So like this, this is kind of what this verse, this is what Sutta Goswami is showing us. He's not saying, all right, look at me, I'm so learned, look what I've done. This is, there should be a modesty, a humility. This is actually really attractive. So he's showing this wonderful quality of humility. We're going to do text 5. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Munaya sadhu prishtoham
Munaya sadhu prishtoham
bhavadbir loka mangalam
bhavati lokam mangalam
yat krita krishna samprashno
yadgita krishna samprashto
yenatma suprasidati.
yenatma suprasidati.
Oh, we're going to get in some really, really nice verses, by the way. Munayaha,
Munayaha,
O sages,
sages,
sadhu,
sadhu,
this is relevant.
this is relevant.
Prishtaha,
Krishta,
questioned.
question.
Aham,
Aham,
myself.
myself.
Bhavadbhi,
Bhavadbhi,
by all of you.
by all of you.
Loka,
Loka,
the world.
the world.
Mangalam,
Mangalam,
welfare.
welfare.
Yet,
Yat,
because. Kritaha,
Kritaha,
made.
made.
Krishna,
Krishna,
the personality of Godhead.
the personality of God.
Samprashnaha,
Samprashnaha,
relevant question.
relevant question.
Yena,
Yena,
by which.
by which.
Atma,
Atma,
self.
self.
Suprasidati,
Suprasidati,
completely pleased.
completely pleased.
Translation. O sages.
O sages,
Oh no, it's okay, I'll do it. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna, and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since it has been stated herein before that in the Bhagavatam the absolute truth is to be known, the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya are proper and just. Because they pertain to Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Personality of Godhead says that in all the Vedas there is nothing but the urge for searching after Him, Lord Krishna. Thus the questions that pertain to Krishna are the sum and substance of all Vedic inquiries. So again, this should be the subject matter of everybody's search, is the Personality of Godhead unto the Supreme Lord. Really only these questions are really proper and just. Everything else is ultimately part of the material illusion, the material dream. Yesterday we were talking about some Airbnb guests who were staying in the attic. They were talking. They were from one was from Italy, and another one, I think she was American. But he was talking about the American dream, and I made a joke, and I said, and a dream it is. But there's this dream that we're all a part of here in this material world, that this will make me happy, this will please me, if I just arrange it like this, if I just make plans like this. Prabhupada said in the last purport, we think we can just make plans and become happy this way. No, we're making so many plans, but how many of your plans actually work out? One, half of them don't even work out. And then two, when they don't work out, it's never how you think. It never completely pleases you. What actually allows us to be completely pleased will be revealed to us. And the Sutta Goswami, he's saying only questions of this sort are completely satisfying the self, are completely pleasing to the self. Atma Suprasiditi. So, in Bhagavad Gita, the Personality of God, it says that in the Vedas there's nothing but the urge for searching after Him. So this is the topmost questions. This is the type of questions we should try to know. We should try to seek to know more about the Lord, and try to seek to know more about our relationship to Him and what we should do in relation to the Lord. This could actually satisfy us. But Prabhupada, this is a beautiful purport. The whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, beasts, and men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers, and in the evening also the same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being, unless he is fast asleep at night, is busy with questions and answers. The businessmen in the market are busy with questions and answers. And so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the schools and colleges. The legislators in the parliament are also busy with questions and answers. And the politicians and the press representatives are all busy with questions and answers. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. Actually, satisfaction, the name Ram, Hari Rama, right? Rama means the source of all satisfaction, the source of all pleasure. So Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father, or son, an object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. All things but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So if we are to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. We cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna, we can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. One should learn the Srimad Bhagavatam and make an all-around solution to all problems pertaining to social, political, or religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. So this is why we're going through the Bhagavatam, because it's actually dealing with the questions and answers that are actually going to solve all problems. So every one of you both actually, at least here live with us, you've expressed to me your problems. I've so many people, especially in the spiritual community, they have different types of problems. I myself have different types of problems, and actually all of the answers are found herein through Bhagavatam. These questions and answers. What is really worth pursuing? And the answer is the personality of Godhead. It's our relation with God. Everything else will give only temporary satisfaction. And to have complete satisfaction, it must be, Prabhupada is using about Krishna. Now, it's funny because a lot of times I'll say, well, Krishna is another name for God, because that's what people in the West understand. But actually, God is just another vague name for Krishna. Krishna actually means all attractive, all beautiful. But actually, to explain the name Krishna, who it's describing, God is only a small facet of Krishna, actually. Krishna is so incredible, and to understand the Godhead's form as Krishna is such a wonderful thing. It actually makes all other understandings of God seem very irrelevant, at least in my personal experience. So this Bhagavatam is of the topmost. Why? Because it's giving questions and answers about Krishna. And we are going to want questions and answers about Krishna. Why? Because he is the source of all satisfaction. He is the source of our satisfaction. And if we're a little selfish, which we all are, especially in the beginning of our making advancement, even if we're so selfish, if we really want our own satisfaction, we should approach the source of satisfaction. That's Krishna. And so these are, what follows are the questions and answers regarding Krishna. Instead of all the other questions and answers that we're making about sporting events or, movies or job opportunities or material education opportunities, all things of the temporary nature that pass just like the clouds, pass just like our dreams, and have no real relevance as we approach the inevitability of death. So anyway, that's a little cold and dark. So we'll actually get more positive with this next verse. This is a very famous verse. This is giving you the secret on actually how to be completely satisfied. So if you learn this one verse, you will learn the secret to complete satisfaction. So repeat after me. Savai pumsam paro dharmo.
Savai pumsam paro dharmo.
Yato bhaktir hokshaje.
Yator bhakti doshate.
Ahaitukya pratihata.
Ahetukya pratihata.
Yayatma suprasidati.
Yatma suprasidati.
Saha. That. By.
Why?
Certainly.
Certainly.
Pumsam. For mankind. Paraha. Sublime. Dharma. Occupation. Yataha. By which. Bhakti. Devotional service. Adhokshaje. Unto the transcendence. Ahaituki. Causeless. Apratihata. Unbroken. Yaya. By which. Atma. The self. Supersedati. Completely satisfied. He continues, translation. The supreme occupation or dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. This is the great secret. And Prabhupada, this will be a little longer. What time is it, by the way? 55. Maybe this will be the last one, depending on how short the next one is. In this statement, Sri Sutta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called the pravritti marg, or the path of sense enjoyment. Most people are on this path. And the other is called nivritti marg, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence, or Brahmabhuta. This is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30-20. Existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Did you ever notice when are we considered happy in this world? And it's actually when we're not miserable for a minute. Like, oh wow, I'm so happy that I'm not miserable. But this is not actually real happiness. This is just like, oh, for the moment, a miserable situation is not there. Because that's actually what's really going on here. It's just misery after misery after misery. And if we get a little relief, ooh, I'm happy. I'm very good. How are you, Piyush? Piyush, I'm great. How are you, Ram? Oh, I'm good. I'm not miserable at this moment. But this is not happiness. This is actually just the cessation of misery. So, where are we? Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all-cognizant, all-knowledgeable life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation, I think I know what this means, but research abnegation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. What's abnegation mean?
The act of renouncing or rejecting something.
Okay, so to renounce or reject something. So rejecting things for the ultimate good is certainly better than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. A mundane example would be like if you enjoy smoking, you're engaging the senses of the throat. I know a lot of people who like to enjoy smoking. But if you reject that enjoyment for a higher purpose so that you don't get cancer, you'll actually be happier doing it like that than, I'm just going to enjoy. We see this. We see maybe people who suffer from addiction. They're trying to just maximize their enjoyment. They're just caught in the illusion that if I keep enjoying this thing, I'll be happier this way. But actually, if they were to reject that thing, that's how they can be happiest. So like this material world and its pleasures, we think by indulging in them, we'll be happiest this way. But actually, this is the disease condition of life. If we actually want the all blissful spiritual condition of life, it's actually by rejecting these material things that will make us happy. So anyway, Prabhupada will go into it better than I can. So he's saying, for example, adoption of devotional service material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality. For example, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of an unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. Solace, look up. I thought it meant like peace, but I think it means more than peace. Perpetual solace in his service. You've got it? Solace is Solace. Did you spell it right? I can read.
Comfort or consolation in a time of distress or sadness.
Okay, comfort or consolation in a time of distress. So, if we want to be completely comforted, from the many miseries that we're experiencing, and that's just really unfortunately what it is, it's this alone means unmotivated or uninterrupted service unto the Supreme Lord. This actually can give us solace. I've personally experienced this in my life to the degree that I'm actually getting out of my own way with having material desires for my own enjoyment. Actually, I'm very happy doing the service. But as soon as something creeps in there, well, I want it like this, or it should be like this, or, and we go to the Lord for these things too. Well, I'll do my service here, but inside it's like, well, I really want this thing, We actually won't be happy in that way. Why? Because we're still having this expectation. Our happiness is placed in that type of fruit. But actually there's so much bliss in just being able to approach the Lord, just being able to serve the Lord and to know and hear more about the Lord. This is the source of happiness. This is the Lord. So we should not waste our time. We should not have any idle time. We should always be pursuing the Supreme Lord. And He will respond. We have purposely denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and He is the all-attractive living entity, or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. Each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence, and Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. The relation is one of the servant and the served. It is transcendental and it is completely distinct from our experience in material existence. This relation of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy. Look up congenial. This relation of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Even in the present conditional state of material existence, that will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please Him to complete satisfaction. Parth, what's congenial?
Pleasant because of personality, qualities, or interests that are similar to.
You said pleasant?
Pleasant.
Pleasant.
Of a person.
So this is our position. This is our occupation. Everyone thinks, well, my occupation is this. I build antennas, I'm in finance, I do this thing, I do that thing. No, what really sustains one's existence? We think, if I go to work, that'll sustain my existence. I make enough money, things like this. But really, what's the source of all these resources? What's the source of everything? Excuse me. Thank you. I do need blessings. It's the Supreme Lord. That's what sustains our existence. What's providing the oxygen so that we can breathe? What's providing the sunlight so that we have enough nourishment and energy to live, and we can even see in the first place? What's providing the food crops and the grains and all these things? It has to be. It's the natural elements, the natural gifts of God. It's not your job. It's not maybe your family or whoever you're dependent on or things like that. No, they're only borrowing the Lord's energy. So if you're blessed by the Lord, you have these things. And if you're not blessed by the Lord, He will make you suffer a little bit more. And that could be a blessing in itself. We're all really blessed by the Lord. But what really is a blessing is when we have the knowledge that we should focus our attention on the Lord. This is the ultimate blessing. When we don't have this knowledge, we're caught in illusion. We're caught in the dream. Whether it's the American dream or the Indian dream or the Central American dream, European dream, all these dreams are dreams.
Illusions.
Yes, they're illusions. These things are not what we should focus on. You know this, maybe. You guys studying this, you know this to some degree. I know this now to some degree. Maybe online, maybe a few of you can now know this to some degree, or do know this to some degree. But it's very difficult. Our conditioning is the opposite of this. Our conditioning is this pravriti marg, trying to enjoy the senses. We've done this for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. We've done this for so long, or at least if you don't even believe in lifetime after lifetime. We've done this our whole life, and it still hasn't satisfied us yet. And it's not really satisfying if temporary, there's no misery. My body's healthy, this is here, I'm not miserable, so I'm happy. This is not real happiness.
True.
Our real happiness is so much more profound than this type of happiness that this material world is offering. So anyway, that will be explained. And remember, what's going to completely satisfy the self is being unmotivated. Meaning, my wife is messaging me that my audio is not very good. So I apologize for that. But it's being, if it's not very good, you can catch it on YouTube. My channel is Ramdas Bhakta. So my wife is texting me, letting me know this. But yeah, it's being unmotivated and uninterrupted in our devotional service, in our service unto the Lord. And this isn't a new idea. I mean, Jesus said the two most important commandments are to love God with all your heart, strength, soul, words, mind, body, and actions, and to love one another as you love yourself. And it's ultimately, that's the main thing, is it's about, what does love mean? Love means service. If you love somebody, you serve them. It's natural. You love your wife, how can I help you? How can I serve you? It's not like, I love you, now serve me. Even though that could be the tendency, but that's not really love. That's actually lust. That's a different thing. If you love anybody, we should actually serve. That's like real love.
The sense of self loses in love.
You repeat that?
The sense of self loses in that when you love.
Yes.
Because the sense of self is when you try to fulfill something for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you will do things to fulfill them.
Yes.
And that's not love. That's desire to speak.
Yes.
What you call lust, maybe.
Yes. There's so many things
Ways in which
there.
you can read that, yeah.
But that's correct. If you're really motivated for your own self-interest, because you might also do some service at work. We might do some service.
Yeah.
I'll do this service for you, but the motivation is like, but you're gonna pay me.
True.
Or even you might do some service. You see a nice, pretty lady. Oh, how can I help you, ma'am? Let me do this for you. Yeah. But the motivation might be, I want this or this from you, or I want this from you, and like this. But the real love, or real devotional service, or bhakti, it's bhaktir at Hokshaje. It's devotional service, but bhakti is the path of love. Real love should be unto the transcendent Lord, the source of love. And we should not be motivated and not be interrupted. It shouldn't be like, all right, you know, I mean, Parth, you've asked me this question, and you've asked every spiritual personality here this question. How can I keep, not be interrupted? How can I feel so good, I come to the morning program, I do my worship, and then I go to work or I go to school and I completely forget about everything.
So here's a metric that I use, or I think that's a good metric. So whenever thought comes of service, and when you question that thought in terms of profound loss, then that is your selfishness saying. And when the thought comes and you act without giving it a second thought, then it's service. So thought of service without second thought on it is service, but thought of service and then thinking on that thought is your selfishness coming in.
Yeah. Well, we should also be discriminating as well, because you might go outside and a homeless man might say, "Oh, can you do some service for me?" And maybe you should think, well, what is he going to do with this service? You know, like things like that.
I was talking in terms of the Lord. Sorry.
Yeah, but yes, in relation to the Lord, this is very good. Especially in relation to the Lord and His servants, we should always try and serve. But we should also be discriminatory. We should also have an understanding of the Shastra. We should have understanding of the pure devotional desires. What is this for? You know. So that's also very, very important. But also being uninterrupted. Not when we go, you know, to our work, when we go to our school, we should somehow find a way to make this an offering of service. How can I be of service in this moment? We should always be asking this question. Actually, when we're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is the main mantra, the mood should always be, we're calling out to the Lord and say, please engage me in your service. Always questioning, how can I be in your service? Why? Because this is what's going to satisfy us, but also this is what satisfies the Lord. And that when you satisfy others, this also satisfies us. You know, if I were to make Parth happy, that makes me happy. If I make Piyush happy, it makes me happy. Now, when you make God happy, the source of all, that makes everyone happy. So this is our path here, to be unmotivated and uninterrupted in our service to the Lord. And then ultimately, the natural process is that we are satisfied ourselves. So, good luck in your unmotivated and uninterruption in your bhakti, or your loving service unto God. And may you be able to extend that and see all others connected to God. And the ultimate service you can do for all others is to awaken their understanding of God, their understanding, their connection of God. If you can do that for another, that is the greatest gift. That's the humble service we're trying to do here. We're very limited on how good we are at actually doing that. But if the Lord blesses us, we can continue. So thank you again very much. We will end here. Thank you for whoever joined us online. And until next time. Oh, we'll be gone for like maybe 12 or 13 days. I won't do another class because we have someone else. But here, who will be give much more qualified classes than I. But we'll be back eventually. So